The novel coronavirus disease, COVID-19, has dominated the world this year and has affected at least 60 million people globally. In Nigeria, at least 66,000 have been affected, causing more than 1,000 deaths since February 27th. So it was big news when reports of a strange disease that had killed at least 20 people in one locality in Delta State, South Nigeria, hit the airwaves. It had been ravaging for just 2 weeks. The Delta State government sent samples of affected people to the lab, and results showed the disease to be yellow fever. Soon, news of yellow fever casualties from other states started coming in. From Bauchi in the northeast came a report of a staggering 53 deaths. From Benue in north-central Nigeria and Enugu State in the southeast. It's official. There's an outbreak of yellow fever around the country. Let's look at this disease, which, for the moment, has taken center stage in Nigeria on Special Report. Welcome. I am Mary Alale Yusuf. The earliest known yellow fever outbreak in Nigeria was reported in Lagos in 1864. Since then, several other outbreaks followed. Between 1987 and 1996, yellow fever outbreaks in Nigeria affected about 120,000 people in various parts of Nigeria, including Jos in Plateau State, Azare in Bauchi State, Ogoja, Oju, and Ogbomosho in Cross River, Benue, and Oyo states. After the outbreak in 1996, the disease disappeared from the scene for 21 years, re-emerging in a 7-year-old girl in Ifelodun local government area of Kwara State in 2017. It did not happen out of the blues, but followed reports of large outbreaks in Angola and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Other confirmed cases started popping up around the country. Kano, Kebbi, Kogi, Kwara, Nasarawa, and Zamfara states. In collaboration with the World Health Organization, the NCDC started conducting large campaigns of vaccination in certain states. 800,000 people between 9 months and 45 years were targeted in Kwara and Kogi states in October of that year. 1 million people were covered in Zamfara state. Campaigns were also planned for the other 4 states with outbreaks. Then COVID-19 came on the world scene and energies were directed at curbing it. It seemed as if that was that for yellow fever until a strange disease was reported in Delta State. There is palpable fear and apprehension in Utokpu and Idumesa communities in Ikan Northeast local government area of Delta State in South Nigeria. 20 people between the ages of 18 and 25 have died, and no one knows what killed them. No one knows who will be next. But the state government is on a mission to find out. They already have their suspicions.
Myself, with my entire team, which included the officials of the World Health Organization, were there at Utokpu to see for ourselves, to get an initial insight. And then thereafter, a team led by the state epidemiologist went into the community to take further history, collect samples, and we're still on it. Those samples have been sent for tests because from what we saw, we suspected that it could be cases of viral hemorrhagic fever, which is about the period, or substance abuse.
There is an outbreak of disease. Now the symptoms we have seen include bleeding from the nose, vomiting of blood, fever, stiffness, convulsion, and of course, ending with death. Based on this, we are working on the diagnosis of viral hemorrhagic fever, possibly Lassa fever, to rule out narcotic intoxication or poisoning, which is a differential.
There's a reason why youth leaders lean heavily in the direction of illicit drug intoxication as the cause of death.
Someone explained to us that one take 100 milligram of what do you call it, tramadol, then later he pick it to somewhere and use a monkey tea. That's what we call Indian with ogogoro mixed.
This woman is worried. She sits here hoping that her son, who has been rushed to the hospital, will come back soon. After he began to display the same symptoms suffered by some other youths who have died. The samples have been tested and results are in. It's not Lassa fever, but yellow fever. The Federal Medical Center Asaba is one of the health facilities managing active cases. According to the Chief Medical Director, about 25 cases are being managed here, with 12 deaths recorded. There are about 100 suspected cases. Managing this illness also comes with the challenge of adequate lab equipment.
The mortality rate seems to be very high, even higher than COVID. Mainly is that if we remember that yellow fever actually has no cure, there's really what you do is to vaccinate before. But when you've gotten it, especially the severe form where you start bleeding and all that, their blood indices are usually deranged, badly deranged. You can imagine a patient whose platelet count should be like 250,000 and you come down to like 4,000, 9,000. Really bad. So it means that patient is very prone to bleeding, will bleed a lot. And so if you want to manage such patients, you will need not just to transfuse whole blood, you need fragments of the blood, blood components. We don't have the machine to do fragmentation of blood here. So we need to depend on getting them, sourcing for them from outside and all that. And all of those delays can lead to death.
Some residents are worried it might be too late.
Very worried, very worried and embarrassed. Very worried. Although we started the vaccination, but I have the feelings that maybe these ones must have been infected.
Another death has occurred. This woman is inconsolable because she has just lost a son to yellow fever. Neighbors try to calm her down. Some others in the neighborhood are similarly affected and are trying to contend with the deep pain of their losses.
He said he has headache and little fever. He said, what? I said, he said, I got treated in the maternity here. I said, no, not maternity. He went and came back. In the night, the wife called me. Said the illness is serious. I ordered my driver to take him to Idiaye. Anyama. They was treated. Later, he vomited some blood. We completely said maybe the treatment is not okay. We took another place. What are the quack people?
Concept clinic.
Huh? Concept clinic. He was there. He was there. The following morning, we went to Asaba. FMC Asaba. The same thing, he vomited blood. He was struggling. Then he died. Myself, I've been vaccinated here. Also my wife and all my children here have been vaccinated.
Always starting like something minor, but progressing to alarming symptoms.
Last week, he say get headache. I can say, all right, make I go meeting, make I come back. Before I come back now, he say, get strength again. Now I say, make I carry and go hospital. Carry and go hospital now, then come the treat am. Treat am, get improvement in a day. Now 3 days he stay for hospital. He can't die. Very painful now. He paid me well. Now my 9-year-old wife when I get. The children when he leave for me, he paid me well.
The deaths as a result of this illness are now up to 30. particularly among young people within the age bracket of 18 and 25 years. And the state government, in collaboration with National Health Authority, has swung into action after investigating the cause of the deaths.
Yellow fever.
Orientation took the sensitization in both Pidgin language and the local language that the people really understand, because at this point, in terms of these preventive measures, language and communication is very strategic. And at the same time, we're able to deploy the youth groups in terms of peer influence. We're also able to use the traditional institutions in terms of parental influence as well.
If you not say, you never collect vaccine for yellow fever. Waka go health center now, go receive your own. Yellow fever now they keep people for a cannot do so. Go health center, go receive your vaccine free of charge.
The announcements seem to be paying off. People of all ages come to the health center for their shots. Two communities in Igbo Eze, North Local Government Area of Enugu State in southeast Nigeria have lost at least 50 people to the devastating effects of yellow fever. Residents are bewildered.
This sickness comes in 3 days. This sickness is okay, and people will die anyhow. It will kill children, and it will kill adults, and it will kill women and men. We don't know this type of sickness before. This type of sickness, they thought say some people are saying that it is typhoid and malaria, and at last they call it yellow fever.
The yellow fever vaccine is about 70 years old, but was only incorporated into the expanded program on immunization, EPI, in Nigeria in 2004 and was only available for infants. The answers to these prayers may be the arrival of the Commissioner for Health and his team to give direction to the community.
It is important that people go and receive their vaccination, especially children. Because a child that is vaccinated, they are supposed to get yellow fever vaccine at 9 months. So when they get the yellow fever vaccine, that person is supposed to be protected for life. Another thing that is very important is that since mosquitoes cause the illness, it is good for people to avoid areas or things that cause mosquitoes to grow or to breed. I'm sure everybody here knows that if you place a pot of water and nobody goes there, and it's open, and nobody goes there for 2-3 days, if you go there after 2-3 days, if you look at it, you will see a lot of very tiny things there. Those are mosquitoes.
These State Fire Service trucks are not here to put out a fire. But the powerful hoses of these machines are coming in useful to spray insecticides into the community and kill off some of the Aedes aegypti mosquitoes, the vectors of the yellow fever virus.
Our target area is bushes and stream and riverine areas. So we are not going to fumigate compounds because the chemical we are using is toxic. So when you witness what we are doing, we'll put safety into consideration. We are not going house to house fumigation. We are fumigating the environment, the bushes, the rivers, because we know that mosquitoes thrive in bushes and in waters, or moving waters, the water that are stagnant. So with that, we believe we have done enough. We have sensitized the locals through the necessary means like town criers, all those people that communicate with them.
The homes we stay, sometimes we cannot spray some homes. If you're looking at areas like squalors, slums where the buildings are made by wood and all of that, so usually indoor residual spraying doesn't really help in such areas because it would have absorbed the chemicals and it would not be there for the mosquito to be killed when it lands on the surface.
The state government is conducting similar sensitization efforts in other affected areas of Enugu State. A huge crowd has gathered outside this primary healthcare center in Ogbadibo local government area of Benue State, north-central Nigeria. They are here for yellow fever vaccines following the deaths of 53 people from 2 local government councils in the state. 20 out of 23 local government areas are conducting this exercise simultaneously. The others had started in 2019 when they had outbreaks there.
The people reiterated the fact that they need water source. They also need a road so that if there's anything happening, they can convey the people to the hospitals. They also need primary health clinic. Not just, we have primary health care quite right here. The place needs to be equipped. In the meantime, I will advise that before they drink any suspicious water, they need to boil the water so that if there's any agent, if there's any germ in the water, it can be killed. Because we all know that this outbreak is caused by yellow fever, which is transmitted by mosquito. By the time you destroy mosquito larvae in water and you create an unconducive environment for the female mosquito, Aedes aegypti, once you create an unconducive environment for them to grow, they will not grow. So they have to take care of the water that they are drinking, and then it will go a long way. And secondly, the nets that we distributed to them for malaria, that same net that is going to prevent malaria can prevent this same malaria that is causing yellow fever. So they have to use the net.
Many others are struggling just to stay alive. The target is more than 4.5 million people in 243 wards of Benue State. There are 1,586 teams deployed to make it happen. The Bauchi state government stumbled on its cases of yellow fever during a routine polio immunization exercise.
We find out that about 8 people confirmed death on unsuspected disease. Then we now went in to carry out investigation. We got about 8 people, samples were taken. All the samples were positive for yellow fever. We are going out to vaccinate almost the whole local government. The same last year we had outbreak of yellow fever in Ningi local government, Warji local government, Ganjua local government. So it is just repeating itself. Now, the federal government intend to carry out preventive vaccination in 19 local government of Bauchi State, which are high risk. All the local government in Bauchi State are high risk of yellow fever. So they intend to carry out preventive vaccination for the whole 19 local government, except Alkalere local government where we had a lot of vaccination going on.
Yellow fever is more rampant in lower income communities with poor hygiene and on farms. Here, the day-biting mosquitoes are more commonly found, but residents need not abandon their homes or places of work.
Okay, so you look at, okay, we're going with children. Can we go along with our insecticide-treated nets so that when they go to the farm, they're covered inside the nets? Okay, so what about ourselves in the farm? Can we wear maybe light-colored breathable clothing that have long sleeves so that we can cover our limbs and protect ourselves from being bitten by these mosquitoes in these particular areas? Okay, could we also try to do something if it is our homes, for instance? Okay, protect our homes from the infestations of these mosquitoes. Screen our windows, screen our doors, use insecticide-treated nets. If we have dirty areas, grass, bush around our homes, we should cut them, make sure the surroundings of our homes are quite clean enough not to allow these mosquitoes to inhabit them. We can make sure that we don't have puddles open in such areas where they would thrive. We don't have open buckets or open bowls around where they would, the mosquitoes will grow in that will eventually bite us. And then we try also not to encroach into their, because when you encroach into their habitat, of course, there's a possibility that you would get them, infect one with such disease.
It seems, though, that the vaccine cannot be administered to everybody.
The approach to vaccination for yellow fever, there are two approaches. You have the routine vaccination, which is what they do to children and those that are traveling. That's routine. Then we have what is called reactive vaccination, which occurs where there's an outbreak. So as it's been happening the past few years, last year there was a lot that went on around Kwara, Ilorin, and some parts of the Midwest. So it's where outbreaks occur that they go to do reactive vaccinations to everybody, at least as many people as possible in that environment. So it's not as if they're going to go around the country, even to places where there's no outbreaks. Reactive vaccination, in principle, only is given in areas where there's an ongoing outbreak. So that's what they call it, reactive. It happens after the event, the outbreak has already occurred. So in truth, the routine will probably go on, but the reactive will be following the, and this is probably very important, because where you have an outbreak going on, what you want, because for yellow fever, immunity develops within 10 days. So you know that once an outbreak in a community, the other people are at risk because the mosquitoes in that environment have already been contaminated. They can give to other people. So you want to protect the others that are there.
If this is the preferred or more economically viable approach to vaccination, then people have to live prepared to spring into action at the slightest possibility of an outbreak. And even then, there may be victims before interventions start to work. There are other factors which the government could see to. Standards it must implement and enforce to make the holistic approach to tackling infectious diseases more complete.
Now, if you look at these areas where we're talking outbreaks, these are areas that there's a lot of expansion of towns. They're building, they're cutting down forests. And yellow fever has 2 transmission cycles. I think it's something that I think I should mention. It has 2 transmission cycles. There's one that goes on within towns or urban areas where mosquito-human cycle that is the one that can be broken by vaccinations. However, we have another one ongoing in the jungles and the forests, which does not involve humans. It involves other primates, non-human primates like monkeys and all of that, and their own mosquito types. You cannot go vaccinating monkeys or all of that in the jungle. So that part of the cycle is there. Now, when you have human beings going there, it increases the risk of exposure to what is going on, that second cycle. So these are other factors. So we need to pay more attention to how new parts of our towns are developing. We know how new parts of towns develop these days. People are the ones that put all the effort into doing it by themselves. They do their own roads, they do their own mapping to most extent. They do what they can do their own drainages. I mean, we know how newer estates, not organized, but we know how newer parts of towns are open. Everybody builds a house and builds a small drainage in front of his house. The next person who doesn't do it. So that we're having these outbreaks on an increasing intensity means we have to pay attention to that. Our population is increasing rapidly, but our developmental amenities, our amenity development is not increasing at a proportional rate.
Vaccinations are no longer only for toddlers and travelers in Nigeria, but for everyone between the ages of 9 months and 44 years who hasn't already got one. And if you're not sure whether you've got the yellow fever jab already, it won't hurt to just get it now. Remember, it gives lifelong protection. That's all on the program for this week. Thanks for joining us. I am Mary Alale Yusuf.